Imagine this 7 global icons, 7 unstoppable talents, and behind their dazzling lights and burning stages, there's one universal secret that fuels them all. Food. But not just any food we're talking about, the kind of dishes that make their hearts skip a beat, the flavors that remind them of home, the guilty pleasures that keep them coming back no matter where in the world they are. Yes, Army, this is not just about taste, it's about comfort, nostalgia, and the power of a single bite. From Seoul to Los Angeles, from tiny street stalls to Michelin star memories, BTS's food stories are just as diverse and emotional as their music. Which dish makes Jungkook's heart melt faster than his fan cams? What flavor can make Jin drop his worldwide handsome poise and transform into a foodie king? And what if I told you one member has a secret obsession that's so unexpected, it might actually surprise every ARMY watching right now? Brace yourself, because we're about to uncover not only what BTS loves to eat, but why these foods mean so much to them. The textures, the scents, the moments behind each plate, they all tell a story. So get comfy, grab your snacks, because we're starting the countdown to the top 7 BTS favorite foods that make them addicted. Number 3 will shock you. Ready to find out which dish hits their hearts hardest? Let's dive in. There's this very specific scene that keeps replaying in fans' heads. RM, leader of BTS, hair a little messy from a long day in the studio, glasses slightly tilted, sitting in front of a steaming pot of instant noodles that looks way too simple to belong in the world of stadium tours and Grammy red carpets. Yet that bright red broth, thick and wavy noodles, and the unmistakable logo on the packet have become almost like a recurring side character in BTS's story. Shin Ramyun, the instant noodle that RM once loved so much, he famously ate its spicy cousin paldo bibimbap for 3 days straight because it was just that good and that comforting. This is not just a late-night snack for him, it's a kind of survival kit, a portable taste of home that can travel with him from Seoul to New York, from hotel rooms to rehearsal spaces, a reminder that no matter how chaotic the schedule gets, there is always one simple thing he can control: boiling water, opening a packet, and waiting for the noodles to soften. For someone like RM, who constantly carries the weight of decisions, lyrics, and leadership on his shoulders, the ritual of making ramyun is weirdly grounding. Think about it. The leader of the biggest boy group on the planet, surrounded by million-dollar sound systems and world-class producers, still gets that childlike sparkle in his eyes over a bowl of noodles that any student, any trainee, any ordinary kid in Korea can afford and understand. The smell of Shin Ramyun is the smell of shared dorm kitchens, of trainees huddled around a stove at 2 a.m., of tired laughs and whispered dreams about someday performing on big stages. It's the smell of days when success was a distant rumor, not a daily headline. And that's why, when RM slurps those spicy noodles, it's never just about spice tolerance or convenience. It's about reconnecting with the version of himself who was still nameless, still unsure, still sitting in a cramped room typing lyrics and wondering if anyone would ever listen. The spice hits your tongue hard, then lingers, just like the memories of those early years. Intense, a little painful, but somehow addictive. Shin Ramyun's broth is fiery, but inside that heat, there's a deep, savory comfort that feels like a hug after a brutal practice day, and RM has talked about how these kinds of instant noodles are comforting precisely because they are so predictable. Same texture, same flavor, same warmth, no matter what city, what time zone, or what tour stop he's on. And then there's the way he eats it. Not dainty, not idol-like, but real, hungry, focused. The way someone eats when their body finally remembers it's tired. That image strips away all the glitter and shows Kim Namjoon, the human being behind RM, finding joy in something unglamorous and ordinary. There's an emotional irony here too. The man known for complex lyrics and philosophical reflections gets completely disarmed by the simplest meal. Instant noodles are almost a metaphor for his life. The outside world may see them as cheap and basic, but for the people who rely on them, they are warmth, they are energy, they are hope in a bowl. For fans, seeing RM cling to Shin Ramyun turns this everyday noodle into something almost legendary. Suddenly, when you eat it on a rainy night, you're not just broken tired, you're sharing a quiet, invisible moment with him, slurping the same noodles, feeling the same burn on your tongue, letting the same warmth settle in your chest. And the addiction? It's not just the addiction to the taste of Shin Ramyun's signature spicy broth, but the addiction to the feeling it brings. The feeling of still being that young boy in a cramped room dreaming of stages, even when you're already standing on them. Picture this. A quiet studio in the middle of the night. Dim lights, half-finished tracks playing softly in the background. And in one corner, Suga hunched over a humble bowl of piping hot galbitang Korean beef, short rib soup, clear, comforting, and deeply soulful. This isn't just some random dish for him. It's one of those classic Korean comfort foods that wrap around the heart as much as the stomach, the kind of soup that shows up in family gatherings, special days, or quiet healing moments when words are too heavy and life feels louder than usual. The broth looks simple, almost transparent, but it hides hours of slow boiling, patient waiting, and layers of flavor pulled from bones, garlic, and green onions. Like a quiet song that only reveals its depth when you really listen. For someone like Suga, who has always carried a calm, almost stoic aura, a dish like this fits him perfectly. Minimal on the outside, intense and rich on the inside. Fans know he has a soft spot for hearty, traditional dishes, things like meat-based soups, stews, and rice that feel like home more than like a restaurant order, and galbitang sits right in that emotional center of Korean cuisine. It's the kind of food you eat when you finally come back after a long, exhausting schedule, and your body is running on fumes. One spoonful and suddenly your shoulders drop, your chest loosens, and your brain starts to believe, okay, maybe I can keep going. For Suga, who spent years grinding through trainee days, sleeping in cramped spaces, juggling underground rap dreams with idol training, a bowl like this isn't just about taste, it's about survival and grounding. You can almost imagine him as a younger Yoongi, coming home after long practices in Daegu, sitting at a small table, the steam from the soup fogging his glasses, the quiet clink of spoon against ceramic mixing with the sounds of TV in the background. No cameras, no stage lights, just warmth, salt, and silence. In that moment, food becomes a kind of reset button, not glamorous, not flashy, but deeply human. There's something beautifully ironic in the idea that the man who can burn down a stage with intense verses and razor-sharp lyrics finds comfort in a dish that speaks in whispers instead of shouts. Galbitang doesn't hit you with aggressive spice or over-the-top flavors, it heals slowly. Sip by sip, it pulls you back together, like the way Suga's quieter songs creep up on you, one line at a time. Until you realize you've been feeling understood for the last 3 minutes without even noticing when it started. And that's exactly why this kind of food becomes addictive for someone like him. It's reliable. The world can be chaotic. Schedules can be brutal. Opinions can be loud. But a bowl of beef soup made the right way will always taste like calm. For a perfectionist producer who lives inside layers of sound, mixing, adjusting, building, and tearing down tracks, having something that doesn't demand analysis, just acceptance, is priceless. It's warmth that asks nothing in return. Every time Suga wraps his hands around that warm bowl, every time the steam hits his face and he leans in for that first sip, he's not just eating. He's reconnecting with the quieter parts of himself that existed before stadiums, before awards, before the word legend started circling his name. And that silent, private ritual is exactly what makes this dish feel like a secret addiction. Not the loud, showy kind, but the kind you keep close to your chest. The kind that keeps you going when the spotlight turns off and it's just you, the night, and a bowl of something that tastes like home. There is a specific kind of magic in the way Jungkook looks at fried chicken, and every ARMY who has watched him eat knows it. The moment a box of crispy golden chicken lands in front of him, his eyes light up with this childlike sparkle that no camera filter can fake. You can almost hear the crunch before he takes that first bite, like the whole room is waiting for that exact moment when the skin breaks and the sound echoes slightly louder than normal because everyone knows this is his weakness. Jungkook and chicken have a long, chaotic, and honestly iconic history. From random late-night lives where he suddenly appears with a bucket of chicken to behind-the-scenes clips of him happily chewing while the other members tease him, fried chicken has almost become his unofficial emotional support food. It's easy to laugh about it and say, oh, he just really likes chicken. But if you look closer, there's something deeper and more human about this obsession. Fried chicken in Korea isn't just junk food, it's culture. It's game night with friends. It's you did well today, let's treat ourselves. It's delivery drivers racing through the rain so someone can end a long day with greasy fingers and a happy heart. For Jungkook, who grew up in the busiest years of his life, training, debuting, touring while most kids his age were just figuring out high school, this kind of food became a shortcut to joy. One bite, and suddenly he doesn't have to be BTS Jungkook, global superstar. He can just be the teenage kid from Busan who loves good food and simple pleasures. Think about how many hotel rooms he has sat in, thousands of kilometers from home, exhausted from rehearsals, with only a takeout menu and his phone as company. In those moments, ordering fried chicken is not just about hunger. It's a way of saying, I deserve something that makes me happy right now. And the way he eats it shows exactly that. He doesn't nibble like someone worried about image. He takes full, committed bites, eyes half closed, shoulders relaxing as the flavor sinks in. The crunch of the skin, the juiciness of the meat, the sticky glaze from soy garlic, or the fiery kick of yangnyeom sauce. Each version carries a different mood, a different memory. There are clips where the members joke that Jungkook basically lives for chicken and meat, that he lights up whenever there's a feast on the table, and it's so telling how often chicken appears in those scenes. Behind all the teasing, there is a kind of understanding. This is one of the things that reliably makes him happy, no matter how stressful the day has been. It's almost poetic that the member nicknamed the Golden Maknae, good at everything, constantly pushing himself to do more, be more, sing higher, dance harder, finds comfort in something so wonderfully imperfect and messy. Fried chicken is the opposite of polished. Oil splatters, hands get greasy, bones pile up on the side of the plate, and there's no way to eat it gracefully without losing a bit of your idol composure, and that's exactly why it suits him. Underneath the flawless performances and sharp choreography, Jungkook has always shown his raw, honest side. The guy who laughs loudly, who gets shy but still tries, who admits when he's nervous, who wants to do well so badly it hurts. When he tears into a drumstick or wing, that same rawness shows up in a lighter, happier form. This is him unconsciously telling the world, I'm still just a person who loves good food. On some level, fried chicken might also represent freedom for him. Freedom from schedules, from diets, from expectations about body and image. There's something rebelliously gentle about choosing to indulge in something so simple after days of grilled chicken breasts, salads, and careful meal plans. That small act of defiance, ordering a big box of crispy chicken, maybe late at night after practice, maybe on a rare off day, becomes a celebration of being alive, of having made it through another round of pressure. And fans feel it. When ARMY sees Jungkook happily gnawing on a piece of chicken, it's weirdly emotional because it feels like watching him reclaim tiny pockets of normal life in the middle of a career that is anything but normal. His addiction to fried chicken, then, isn't just about flavor. It's about the comfort of routine, the joy of sensory pleasure, the warmth of being just Jungkook for a moment. The oil, the crunch, the heat, the lingering taste of sauce on his fingers, all of it forms a quiet ritual that reminds him he's still that boy who once dreamed of singing and dancing on stage, long before the world learned his name. Now imagine this, Jin, the so-called worldwide handsome, sitting at a table not in some fancy five-star restaurant, but in front of a simple spread that any Korean kid would recognize instantly, a steaming bowl of rice, maybe some stew on the side, and at the center of it all, the star of his personal universe, kimchi. Spicy, sour, crunchy, fermented Napa cabbage that has lived days, even weeks, in a jar, slowly building flavor and personality like a story that refuses to end. It's almost funny how often he's been associated with food, how his Eat Jin segments turned into a comforting ritual for fans. But underneath the jokes and the memes, there's a very real connection between him and the most iconic Korean side dish. Jin doesn't just eat kimchi because it's there. It's part of how he connects with his roots, with his family, with the everyday life that existed long before stadium stages and giant LED screens. Picture him as a kid, coming home from school, backpack thrown on the floor, his mom or family setting down simple dishes, and that red, glistening portion of kimchi always present, always dependable. The smell of it, strong, pungent, a little shocking, if you're not used to it, is the kind of scent that sticks to memories. For Jin, who later became known to fans as someone who loves to eat, loves to cook, and loves to share meals, kimchi is like an anchor. No matter how fancy the hotel buffet is, no matter how exotic the overseas catering gets, there's a part of him that will always, quietly, crave that familiar crunch and sharp, tangy spice. There's something very symbolic about his love for it too. Kimchi isn't glamorous. It's not luxury, but it's essential. It sits on nearly every Korean table, day in, day out, a constant companion to whatever main dish shows up. Jin, for all his worldwide fame and handsome idol image, has always felt strangely approachable, like the kind of person you could actually sit down and eat with. The way he talks about food, the way his whole face lights up when he takes a bite of something delicious, turns every meal into a tiny celebration. And when kimchi is there, it's like he's reconnecting with something that fame can't touch. The first bite hits hard, spicy, salty, sour, and then underneath it all, there's a softness, a sweetness, a depth that only time can create, kind of like him. On stage, he's loud, bright, comedic, the one who is never afraid to throw in a dad joke or exaggerate his own visual charm. But over the years, fans have watched the quieter layers surface too. The hard-working trainee who didn't originally come from a dance background, the member who took extra time to improve his vocals, the hyung who watches over the younger ones even when he pretends to be carefree. Kimchi mirrors that duality. Bold and in your face on the outside, but slowly revealing complexity the longer you sit with it. Jin's addiction to it isn't dramatic. It's the kind of constant, subtle addiction where you only notice how important it is when it's missing. Think about those moments overseas, where he said how much he misses Korean food, how heartwarming it is when they finally get to eat something that tastes like home. That longing isn't just about flavor, it's about safety, comfort, and identity. Eating kimchi in a foreign country, thousands of miles away from the place where he grew up, must feel like bringing a tiny piece of his kitchen table along for the ride. For someone who has to constantly adjust to new time zones, languages, cameras, and cultures, having that one reliable taste that never changes can be almost addictive psychologically. And then there's the way he shares it with others. Jin doesn't gatekeep his love for food, he turns it into a performance. When he eats on camera, he exaggerates his reactions just a bit, making fans laugh, making them hungry, making them feel like they're at the table with him. Kimchi, that humble side dish, becomes part of the show, part of the narrative that Jin loves to eat, and he wants you to enjoy this moment too. It stops being just cabbage and seasoning. It becomes an emotional prop, a symbol of how he uses food to connect, to express love, to break the ice when words feel awkward. Imagine him taking a bite, eyes widening slightly at the spice, maybe letting out a little satisfied sigh, then reaching automatically for rice to balance the heat. It's such an everyday gesture, but in the context of his life where nothing is really everyday anymore, that small act becomes precious. His addiction to kimchi is less about craving spice and more about craving normalcy. In a world where his face is on billboards and his voice echoes across stadiums, he still needs something simple, something unchanged, something that reminds him he's still Kim Seokjin from a regular Korean family who grows up with kimchi on the table. And that's what makes it powerful. When you see him eating it, laughing, talking, being his dramatic, comedic self, what you're really seeing is someone fiercely holding on to the flavors that built his childhood, his identity, and his sense of home. Hold on to your chopsticks because here's where it gets wild. V, the soulful artist with those piercing eyes and a voice like velvet, has a secret weapon in his culinary arsenal that no one saw coming. Spicy black bean noodles, jjajangmyeon with an extra fiery twist that he craves like oxygen after a long dive. Yeah, you read that right. Not the mild, sweet classic everyone pictures, but a version loaded with heat that makes his eyes water and his heart race. The kind of dish that sneaks up on you with sweetness before hitting like a freight train of spice. Picture Taeyoung in a dimly lit dorm kitchen at 1 a.m., post-rehearsal glow still on his face mixed with that mischievous grin, stirring a bubbling pot where glossy black bean sauce clings to thick noodles, flecked with chili oil that turns the whole thing into a glossy, dangerous temptation. This isn't random. It's his go-to comfort when the world feels too heavy, when boxy smiles hide deeper thoughts, and flavors need to match the intensity of his inner world. Fans caught glimpses during lives and mukbangs where he'd devour bowls faster than you can say winter bear, sauce smudging his cheeks unapologetically, proving that behind the ethereal artist is a guy who chases endorphin rushes through food just as fiercely as through music. Jjajangmyeon originated from Chinese immigrants in Korea, blending their stir-fried black bean dishes with local twists, evolving into a staple that's sweet-savory with fermented soybean paste, onions caramelizing into umami bombs. and pork simmering until tender, but Taehyung amps it up, requesting extra gochujang or fresh chilies that transform it from cozy to chaotic, mirroring his own duality of soft visuals and bold soul. Imagine the first slurp. Chewy noodles coated in that inky sauce, initial hit of caramelized sweetness from the chunjang paste fooling your tongue, then bam, the spice blooms, numbing lips while garlic and ginger cut through, creating this addictive push-pull that keeps you digging back in. For Taehyung, who grew up in Daegu craving bold tastes amid humble beginnings, this dish is nostalgia wrapped in fire. It's what he'd sneak after school. What fuels late-night painting sessions or saxophone solos? A sensory explosion that grounds his wandering mind. There's emotional poetry here too. V's art is all about contrasts, light and darkness, calm before storm, and this spicy jjajangmyeon embodies that perfectly. Sweet exterior hiding a burn that demands respect, much like how he reveals vulnerability through powerful ad-libs or heartfelt lyrics. During trainee days, when diets were strict and dreams uncertain, instant packets or street vendor versions became lifelines, shared with Hyungs in cramped rooms where laughter drowned out worries, and one spicy bowl could spark hours of stories. Now, as global icon, he still seeks it out, hotel room deliveries in Tokyo, hidden spots in LA, because no Michelin star can replicate that raw, unfiltered joy of spice conquering sweetness. The addiction hits on multiple levels. Physically, capsaicin triggers dopamine floods rivaling any high. Emotionally, it's rebellion against polished idol life, permission to be messy, to sweat, to feel alive without performance. Fans obsess over clips where he gasps mid-bite, tears welling not from onions but pure heat, then laughs it off with that deep chuckle, turning discomfort into delight. Reflect on it. In a career of perfection, where every note and step is scrutinized, choosing a dish that literally sets your mouth ablaze is pure, unadulterated freedom. Taehyung doesn't just eat it, he experiences it, nostrils flaring at the sesame oil lift, tongue dancing between pain and pleasure, each forkful a mini adventure that resets his soul. The shock factor? Everyone expects sweet or mild from visual King V, but nope. He thrives on the burn, proving once again he's layers deep, full of surprises that keep ARMY hooked. That bowl isn't food, it's therapy, memory, defiance, all swirled in black bean glory with a chili kick that lingers like his lingering high notes. Next time you see him on stage, eyes fierce, voice soaring, wonder if echoes of that spice still tingle on his tongue, fueling the fire that makes him unforgettable. Step into the whirlwind energy of J-Hope, the sunshine of BTS, whose smile could melt glaciers but whose true fire ignites over a bubbling cauldron of ultra-spicy ramyeon, not your average instant noodles, but the nuclear-level kind loaded with ghost peppers worth of heat that has him sweating bullets yet grinning like he just won the lottery. Hosek, the eternal optimist who dances through life's storms, finds his ultimate comfort in this deceptively simple bowl, where thin noodles drown in a broth so red it glows, infused with layers of garlic, green onions, and enough gochujang to make your soul do a backflip. This isn't casual snacking, it's a full-body experience, a ritual he's shared in lives and interviews where he'd doctor up packets with extra chili flakes, cheese melts, or even an egg for that creamy contrast, turning basic ramyeon into a personalized inferno that matches his high-octane vibe. Born in Gwangju, where bold flavors reign supreme, Hobie grew up on spicy street eats that fueled his endless energy. Think late nights practicing dance moves in stuffy studios, collapsing with a steaming cup to chase away fatigue, the capsaicin rush mimicking the adrenaline of perfecting a routine. Fast forward to global fame. Amid sold-out arenas and jet-lag marathons, this dish remains his anchor, ordered in hotel rooms from Seoul to Sao Paulo, a portable party in a pot that screams, "I'm alive," louder than any chant. The addiction? Pure science and soul capsaicin triggers endorphins flooding his system like a natural high, endorphins that echo the euphoria of stage lights hitting his face, while the chew of noodles grounds him, offering texture therapy after hours of fluid choreography. Imagine the scene, steam rising like stage fog, first slurp searing lips with umami depth from anchovy stock and fermented chili, building to a mouth-on-fire crescendo where sweat beads on his forehead, eyes water, but he powers through with that signature laugh. Ah, too spicy but so good, transforming pain into pleasure, discomfort into delight. It's reflective poetry for the hope dealer himself. In a world demanding constant brightness, spicy ramyeon lets him embrace the burn, the mess, the realness without apology, a metaphor for bouncing back stronger, hotter, more vibrant. Trainee tales whisper of shared pots in the dorm, hyungs and dongsangs huddled around the electric stove, trading stories over second helpings, bonds forged in broth as thick as their brotherhood. Now, as a solo artist blending hip-hop fire with house grooves, he still craves it post-recording sessions, the spice sharpening his focus like a secret weapon before belting chicken noodle soup collabs. Emotionally, it's rebellion wrapped in nostalgia. Diets be damned, schedules crushed. This bowl whispers permission to indulge, to feel every sensation intensely, mirroring how he pours passion into every verse and spin. Fans feel the pull in mukbang clips, where his joy is contagious, turning viewers into converts, racing to supermarkets for the spiciest packets to chase that Hobie high. Layers unfold with each bite. Initial sweet heat from sugar, balanced gochugaru, then garlic's pungent punch, sesame oil's nutty whisper, all culminating in a lingering blaze that demands milk or rice to tame. Yet he dives deeper, addicted to the cycle of heat, relief, repeat. For J-Hope, ramyeon isn't escape. It's embrace. Of roots, resilience, raw humanity amid idle gloss. Picture him now, post-Hope World era, in a quiet moment off stage, chopsticks flying, face flushed, heart full, proving that true addiction tastes like fire-forged joy. What if this spice mirrors his inner flame, the one that lights up ARMY worldwide? It's not just food, it's fuel for the eternal dancer, the hype man who turns everyday heat into legendary highs. Cue the dramatic slow-motion close-up. Jimin, the ethereal dancer whose every move drips with grace and emotion, locks eyes with a sizzling grill piled high with thick, marbled strips of samgyeopsal, pork belly sliced to perfection, fat rendering into golden pools as it crisps under flames, sending smoky, caramelized aromas swirling like a love song he can't resist. This isn't just barbecue, it's his undisputed top addiction, the dish that makes his signature eye smile bloom brighter than any spotlight, the one he's confessed to in interviews and lives, where he'd wrap glistening pieces in lettuce with samjang paste, garlic slices, and kimchi, creating handheld explosions of salty, smoky, juicy bliss that have ARMY drooling worldwide. Born in Busan, the salty seafood capital where grilled meats are weekend rituals and family bonds, Jimin grew up inhaling these scents from street stalls and home grills, where the chit-chit sizzle became the soundtrack to childhood summers, laughter echoing as smoky tendrils curled into night air. Fast forward through trainee hell, endless mirrors, aching muscles, dreams teetering on exhaustion, and samgyeopsal emerged as his emotional lifeline, a post-practice feast shared with brothers in arms, each bite melting away tension like butter on hot iron. The magic unfolds layer by layer, fatty edges blistering to crackle, lean meat staying tender, juices bursting with natural sweetness amplified by maple syrup, marinades, or simple salt. Then the ritual wrap, crisp lettuce cradling the prize, punched up with fiery gochujang, pungent raw garlic punching back, and perilla leaves adding herbal snap, all devoured in one glorious, messy chomp that stains fingers and hearts alike. For Jimin, whose artistry channels vulnerability, think filters' sultry gaze or serendipity's tender ache, this dish mirrors his essence. Deceptively simple outside, intensely layered within, fat yielding to smoky depth like how he pours soul into every high note. Emotionally, it's pure catharsis. Diets loom large in idle life, but samgyeopsal screams indulgence, permission to savor life's richness after hours sculpted into perfection, a defiant "I earned this" amid global pressures. Picture trainee dorm nights, electric grill humming on the floor, members crowded around, Jimin flipping strips with tongs like a maestro, grease popping as stories flow, from debut fears to choreography woes, bonds searing deeper than the meat. Now, post-solo stardom with Face and Muse, he still hunts iconic spots in Seoul or hidden gems abroad, the grill's heat reflecting his inner fire, that relentless drive to evolve while staying true. The addiction hooks scientifically too. Umami from pork's glutamates, floods, dopamine receptors, fats coating the tongue for lingering satisfaction, smoke-infusing phenols that scream home, triggering nostalgia rushes stronger than any drug. Fans replay mukbang moments where his moans of delight are ASMR, gold, cheeks puffing mid-chew, eyes sparkling with unfiltered joy, turning viewers into Samgyeopsal evangelists racing to replicate the magic. Reflect deeper. In a world demanding flawlessness, Jimin chooses a dish that's gloriously imperfect. Smoky, greasy, communal. Echoing his lyrics about loving fully despite scars, embracing the burn of growth. Each strip flipped is a metaphor for his journey. Raw potential seared into something transcendent, shared not hoarded, fueling the dancer who spins heartbreak into healing. Trainee whispers tell of all-nighters ending with Samgyeopsal deliveries, grease-slicked boxes uniting the seven into family, Jimin's quiet leadership shining as he portions fairly, ensuring everyone tastes victory. Today, amid sold-out solos and eternal army love, it remains his North Star, post-concert ritual, off-day obsession, the flavor that whispers, "You're enough," when spotlights fade. Imagine him now, grill aglow, steam kissing his face, first wrap assembled with surgical precision yet eaten with wild abandon, sauce smearing lips as laughter bubbles free. That's the symphony. Sizzle, crunch, burst, sigh, a full sensory hug from Busan roots to worldwide wings. His addiction isn't gluttony, it's gratitude, a love letter to resilience wrapped in pork belly perfection. When he bites down, world pauses, just Jimin fire flavor fully alive. Army next grill session, feel that flame? It's the same one lighting his eternal dance.